Alright, CNT125, we're looking at our section on troubleshooting. Here's our second part now. We're picking up at layer 3. So layer 3, we need to remember, includes things like routers, firewalls, IP address configuration, subnetting on things like our devices. So how am I going to verify layer 3? Okay, so starting on our PC, we're going to do things like ipconfig, ifconfig, ipadder, iplink to verify the IP address configuration. And we're looking at the IP, we're looking at the subnet mask, we're looking at the default gateway, and possibly even the DNS configuration, making sure all of that is correct. And we're being very deliberate to go through every single numeral there to make sure it's correct. Because a 192.116 dot instead of the 168. That 16 would be very easy to look across and not realize it's in the wrong network. I'm then going to probably do a ping to a known node or gateway or something of that nature, verify that I have communication to my gateway. I might even run a trace route to a known location, maybe the gateway or a server outside my network, to see where it might fail. I might even run Wireshark to verify certain protocol traffic is moving in and out. If I'm getting an error when I do something, I might Wireshark and do a ping or a trace and see what I'm getting back, see if I'm getting errors back, something along those lines. Solutions would be, obviously, check your IP address configuration, verify, double check, fix. If I'm dealing with a DHCP server, maybe even ipconfig, release, renew, and try to pick up a new IP. Maybe when you did it, there was some sort of interference and it hiccuped and didn't get the right IP. So release, renew, see what you get. If you're still getting an error, now you might need to go and look at your DHCP configuration on routers or servers, whatever happens to be in your network. If I'm dealing with routers or firewalls with layer 3, okay. Again, I'm still going to do ping. I might run a ping from my router to another node or firewall to another node and check for connectivity. I might even run a trace route as well. Where is my connection dropping? I'm definitely going to look at, I forgot to put it in here, as show run. I'm going to look at my running configuration on my router or firewall and verify that configuration information is done correctly. Checking all the IP address information under interfaces, checking my routing protocol, those kinds of things. I'm going to do a show IP route to look at my routing table. I should see all of the networks in my network, or all my subnets in my network in my routing table. If I don't, that might be the cause of my problem. So I'm going to look for those networks. If they're not there, try to start figuring out why they're not, and go back to the layer 1, layer 2 stuff. Check your cables, check your ports, check your IPs, and then check your routing protocol to make sure those kind of things are configured correctly. So solutions here, again, check your configuration against your map, double check IPs, default gateways, those kind of things, subnet masks. Check your routing protocol configuration, make sure the correct networks are being advertised and learned. And then check your ACLs. And depending on the scenario, in our lab scenario here, you could just take the ACL off, try your connectivity. If it works, when you put your ACL back on, it doesn't work, maybe your ACL is wrong, or maybe it's actually doing what you want it to do. Maybe it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but that's not what you want to do. So then you can carefully retune your ACL to fix the problem. Okay. So moving into upper layers, this can get more complicated because upper layer protocols are more complicated. A lot of your upper layer protocol stuff you're going to deal in 220. So we're just going to touch on it lightly just to get your brain thinking. You'll work more with that in 220. So upper layer protocols, you're dealing with 4 through 7, you're dealing with firewalls and probably servers or server services that are running. So I'm looking at things like your HTTP, SSH, Telnet, that kind of stuff, as well as, HTTP servers, DNS servers, DHCP servers, those kind of things that are up here functioning. So I might start with running one of those protocols like an SSH, seeing if I can connect across there. If I can, then I know everything below it should be functioning. If I'm supposed to be able to SSH and I can't, then I might have something below like an ACL or a firewall that's stopping my SSH. I might then run Wireshark to see what protocol traffic is functioning. Is it functioning correctly, or again, am I getting errors or resets or something along those lines? I did this once when I was fixing a TFTP server. I was getting error, or the TFTP server wasn't working. When I Wiresharked, I saw that there were errors being sent back. So I read the errors to figure out what it needed different to make it function and work. So Wireshark can be used in conjunction with that to help. So Wireshark can really be helpful in seeing if you have errors, rejections, permissions, that sort of thing. I might try specific protocols, like I said, Telnet, SSH, that sort of stuff. I might even run netstat, NSLOOKUP kinds of things to see what is my network doing, what does my network know as blah address. If I go to NSLOOKUP a certain domain name I have, and it's mapping to a wrong IP, maybe it's my DNS server that's faulty, or the DNS records that are faulty in what it's handing out. So I might use some of those commands along with whois and dig. These are all more DNS kinds of things to know what does this domain name know as this IP. So again, a ways to check my server configuration, if you will. What does the server say this IP and this domain matching is? So with your upper layer protocols, it really becomes specific on that particular application you're troubleshooting, but there gets you thinking some of the ideas that you should be thinking about in troubleshooting the upper layer protocols. And in here, depends again, the application protocol not functioning. We need to address that configuration on that device. Maybe I need to go check the DHCP configuration or DNS configuration on that server to fix what's going on. And again, I might even need to consult my firewall, because the firewall might be blocking. Everything else might be right, but the firewall might be blocking a specific function. And in our lab scenario, it's okay to shut a firewall off, get things working, and then turn the firewall back on. In real life, that may not be acceptable. So you might need to be a little bit more diligent and careful and really dig into your troubleshooting to find out what's going on. All right, in our lab this week, we are going to build a network. We're then going to try all these commands and things I mentioned with you very diligently, layer by layer, and then we're going to purposely break a link and see what happens. Try a command, break a link, try a command, see what's different. We'll restore it, go back to normal, and then eventually at the end of the lab, we're going to take turns breaking a piece of our network for our lab partner to help to give practice for our lab partner to find and repair or restore its functionality. And we'll take turns on that to give us some practice locating problems. On the lab final, same thing. You're gonna hook up a network, make it work for functionality. Once you get it all functioning, I will break a piece of your network and have you locate and repair that piece. And that'll be a chance for you to show your stuff, if you will, and earn those troubleshooting points. So just so you know, that's coming down the road. So there's a super quick overview of some troubleshooting concepts for our lab.